Hi guys, John from B&B Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Autocruise Pioneer Monet. So under the bonnet, it's a 2006 vehicle, so it's the last of this chassis. Got your engine battery over here on the left hand side. Brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back there. Power steering fluid in this reservoir at the very front just here. And your engine oil gets topped up through this cap just here at the top of the engine there, the rocker. Engine oil, you can check from the dipstick just there with the yellow top. Engine coolant over here on the right hand side, you can see there just in the middle of the minimum and max. The engine is cold at the moment, which is how you should check these. So see there, it's all exactly where it needs to be. And your washer fluid just down there on the right. Air filter sits inside this box just here, pipe running through to it. And you've got a couple other bits. You've got two chassis plates down here, one that says Alco on it and one that says Automobiles Peugeot. So obviously this is the one that would have come out of the factory with, but this is the uprated one here that you need to actually look at. So 3.5 tons is the overall weight. Yeah, so that's that front of the bonnet. Inside the passenger door, there's not a huge amount to show you. There's a couple of bits down there that you could sometimes need to get to for the Combitronic unit, but you know, as a sort of owner of the vehicle, you shouldn't need to do that. That's only for sort of people to play with it, and if there's anything wrong with it ever. There's a couple of fuses and relays behind here, and on the other side, on the driver's side, there's another one of these. The only difference really being with the other side is that you've got the OBD reader in the driver's side, just in case you ever need to get to that. Cupboard just behind that here is for your Combitronic system. So eDispatcher is the company that do that. eDispatcher do lots of diesel heating systems. They're one of the main ones. eDispatcher and Webasto are the two main ones for the boats as well. So all of the sort of leisure vehicles use these eDispatcher units, and Autocruise have always really been the ones to use these most. You can use it on diesel or mains, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute when we get inside. Only thing I want to show you in here really is you've got this little switch just here, which is your mains isolator for the whole system. So if you wanted to isolate the mains from it, you can do that from there, but you shouldn't ever really need to do that. Obviously you've got the main habitation door. There is a step with the vehicle, so you can put that, you know, just down here to get in there, and you can put that anywhere you want really. You know, you can fit it under the seat to the back probably, if you want it out of the way. Awning light just there, and your full-size OmniStore awning across the top. You've got an external gas point just here, and your gas locker is just to the right of that. So you've got space in here for 2 of these 6 kilo propane bottles if you should need them. And to turn the bowl on, you go anti-clockwise around to the left, and turning it off, it's clockwise around to the right. You don't need to worry about any of this stuff at the back here. This is all just for our testing purposes. I'm just going to put that little cap on there. So as part of the habitation check, we would have gone through here and made sure that it's all pressurized, that there's no leaks anywhere in the entire, entire van. This entire locker is completely sealed up, so it's all good. You need to make sure that you turn the gas off before you start driving. But other than that, it's pretty simple stuff. Just down here, you've got a drain there. That should be for your, just get that right quickly. So I believe that is your wastewater drain. Just there. And you will have one on the other side as well for the fresh. External water point, just here, hot and cold. And then you've got your storage in here. So the storage goes right the way through to the other side. You can see there where the other door's open. Heater duct just here. So the vehicle hasn't been completely cleaned yet, by the way, just so you know. But there you go. You have got the brackets here for a bike rack. If you did want to fit one of those, it is literally a case of just hooking it on and putting the bolt through. So it's nice and easy. It means you haven't got to do any drilling into the vehicle. It's already all there for you if you like that. Next cupboard down here is for your leisure battery. So you see down there, nice and simple. It's actually a new leisure battery because the old one was a little bit on the weak side. So we've replaced that as part of the habitation check. You've got a set of chocks in there if you should need those. And your freshwater filling point is this one just here. So you plug that into the point that I'm going to show you just now, and then drop it into the bucket. And there's also another way of doing it with this hose as well. So honestly, that is so easy. When you plug that in and drop it into water, you'll see how easy that is. So really, having this vehicle with that type of freshwater filling point, you should probably get hold of one of the roll-away tanks. You can get fresh tanks and waste tanks as well. So it just means that with that point there, you can plug it into the van, drop the pump into the bucket, and fill the van up with water wherever you are. So you can literally drag the roll-away from wherever and get water into the vehicle anywhere basically. And so you basically plug it straight into there, and then drop the pump into your roll-away or any kind of bucket with water in it, and that'll just basically suck it through into the vehicle. Nice and easy. Hookup point, you see there, I've got the hookup in at the moment, so I can show you, all the Combitronic system working, etc. The fridge vents are just here. I've got the fridge lit up on gas at the moment, and there's a little bit of warm air coming out through the top right hand side of this vent here. And if I just pop that off quickly, should be able to see the little exhaust down there for the fridge. Plug that back in. The other drain I was saying about is just down there. And the last locker is your toilet cassette locker. So you've got a fresh water flush on here, so there's no separate flush fluid to worry about up here. But basically, once you've pulled the cassette out, keep on top of lubricating this little rubber seal here with some silicone lubricant if you can. But basically, you drain it out from here, so you turn this around, drain it out from there. When you're draining it out, push and hold on the little yellow button at the back, put a cap full of the blue fluid back in here, and then push it all the way back in, and that is it. Right, in the actual cab, you've got a load of paperwork for the whole e-dispatcher unit and everything, all of your appliances basically. It's all just in there. You've got air conditioning in the cab in this one, which actually is pretty rare. A lot of these didn't have aircon whatsoever. It's just a bit of a factory extra. So cruise control as well. Now, obviously that is aftermarket and we wouldn't have used it before, but it's all there if you want to use it. Mirrors, so you can adjust your mirrors, so top and bottom mirror will move freely with that little joystick down there. And your reversing camera, which comes on as soon as you put the, as soon as you start driving basically, or put it in reverse. Hazard lights from there. This is all the factory Peugeot head unit up here, so that'll only come on when the ignition's on, and all of your heater settings down there. So it's all there. The bit with the OBD reader and other fuses is just down here, like I was saying. So if you did need to get into there to sort of fault, read a fault code or anything like that, it's just down there. Bonnet release is this one here, and your steering column adjustment is this one. So make sure that's all the way down where it is now before we start driving. Right, so that's it for the outside and in the cab and all that sort of thing. I'll start off with the the control panel. So as soon as we turn this on, you can see straight away that you come up saying leisure battery. It won't always say that. That's only because I was looking through there a minute ago. flick through here and it goes through all sorts of things that you don't really need to worry about unless you fancy having a look and sort of setting the clock and alarms and all that sort of stuff. Water tank fill, quite important. So basically that's when you put your pump into the when you plug your filling point into the plug outside, like I said about, when you drop that into the water, come through here, turn your pump switch on as well, actually sometimes it's helpful, but press water tank fill and it'll say running, and then that should start drawing any water through that point outside through from the bucket that you've plugged into the vehicle, into the fresh tank. You can turn that off just by pressing that one there. Pump select, internal, I'm going to leave that on internal. Wastewater empty, freshwater empty, vehicle battery and leisure. So actually, if you just give me 1 second, just going to make sure I've got that hookup lead plugged in properly. There you go. That'll be why it wasn't on there. Okay, so when I go back in now, I reckon it'll be on about 13.5 volts. There you go. So it was on 12.5 before. That's because the hookup wasn't plugged in properly, and well, that was my fault. So when now I've plugged it in, you can see there the charger's come straight on and the battery voltage has gone straight up to 13.7, which is absolutely perfect. I'm just going to shut this door so you can actually see what lights are on the control panel. So if you have enough water in your fresh tank, you can turn your pump switch on just here. Aux will do a certain few lights, not all of them, but it will do a few of the lights. Just turn that off for a minute. So yeah, so main power switch and aux, then you can go around and essentially start turning on any of the lights. They will all work because I've done the full habitation check on the vehicle. Once you've got your hookup in as well, you will then have access to all of these 3-pin sockets. Any of them that are dotted around the vehicle should all come to life when that hookup's plugged in. The microwave here will also come on, and you'll also have access to using the mains side of the Combitronic heating and hot water unit. Yeah, mains power and aux, put them both on. You'll then have access to using any of your lights. You don't need to worry about this button here. I will explain it to you just so you know what it is, but that basically, all the time that your lights are on and your 12 volt power is on, it's all running directly from your leisure battery, which I showed you down there. Now, if you press that top right hand button there, what happens is it draws the power away from there and from your engine battery instead. So, as you can imagine, if I press that now, look, press that on, the only difference it makes really, it's okay, if you're hooked up, it's fine, because sometimes what people will do is if your engine battery is a little bit low, you can turn that button on there. And now if I flick through to engine battery voltage, see how the engine battery is now at 13.5 volts? So you can switch that, turn that button on and actually charge your engine battery instead if your engine battery is a little bit low. But that's the only reason you should ever use that button. If you don't have a hookup plugged in and you still press that button, all the 12 volt power will be drawn from your engine battery, nothing will be charging it up, and you'll eventually just drain out your engine battery and won't be able to start the van. So yeah, you just shouldn't ever really press that unless you're trying to charge the engine instead. So that's the control panel. The pump switch there, obviously, like I said, when you turn that on, it will allow you to use the taps inside. Yeah, so other than that, the main thing I want to sort of explain is when you've got some water in the fresh tank, which we don't at the moment because we've drained it out, before you start using the heating, well, actually the heating is okay, but the hot water system on the Combitronic, which I'll show you in a minute, what you really need to do is, again, assuming you've got some water in the fresh tank, put your pump on and just come over to the sink here and pull the water through the hot side. If nothing comes through, that means that the boiler is kind of filling up with water and it's not quite full yet. So you just need to wait for the water to come through nice and clear, and then it will stop. And it stopped air coming through, sorry. So once that water's coming through there nice and clear and there's no air coming through, you should be able to turn the tap off and the pump will turn itself off. Sometimes that can take 5-10 seconds or so, which is completely normal, but it should turn itself off if it's up to pressure. Okay, once you've done that, you can then be 100% certain that your boiler's full up of water and everything's working as it should, and then you can go ahead and do whatever you like, basically. So the next bit I'll show you is the Combitronic unit. Now this is sometimes a little bit awkward to get to grips with, and in fact sometimes, because I haven't actually because I haven't used lots and lots of these before, I'm not even 100% fluent with these, but I will do my best. So when you turn the button on just over here, it comes up saying Combitronic is starting, and it'll update its little indicators and things. Okay, so once you've got that on, you can press this button here and flick through a few different things. The easiest way I find to do it is when you click on this little button down here, it comes up saying settings menu. So when you go through there, button beeps, time and alarm, things like that, you don't really need to worry about that for the moment. Come up saying water mode, click on that one, and at the moment the hot water is set to diesel. I can change that to mains or auto, which will basically select between the two or use them both at the same time. Okay, so at the moment I just fancy using it on mains because I've got the mains plugged in. So I'll click 240 or 230 and that will just do its thing. Okay, go back on there and go down to heat mode, click on that, and I also want to use that on the mains instead of diesel. Okay, so I'll click on that. And so at the moment, now that I've done that, both heating and hot water are both set to be used on mains because I've got the mains cable plugged in. If I didn't have the mains cable plugged in, I can go through and change it to diesel. So I'll just do that on hot water as well. Diesel, okay. And now once I've done that, so I've set the hot water and the heating to what energy I want them to use. Now that I've done that, all I need to do, if I actually want them to come on, if I want the hot water to come on, I'll press the hot water symbol and then set the temperature. I don't want that on at the moment because I know the actual boiler is empty, so I don't want to do that. If I want heating, I press that one and that will come on. Okay, so at the moment, because the boiler is empty, I can't use the hot water, or at least I definitely shouldn't, and I can use the heating. But because I chose diesel through on the settings there, the heating is going to come on, it will light up on the diesel, and then we'll get hot air coming through any of these little circular vents down here. So I hope that makes sense. There are obviously other buttons on there. Eco is, I think it is as simple as it sounds, it just makes it more eco. And the one here is Frost Protect. So if you were going to have your battery all just wired up and left alone, you can put the Frost Protect thing on just there to stop it from freezing up. But other than that, it's all just setting alarms and times and things like that. So, but that's the main thing. So once you've done that now, so all the time that little red light is on, the heating's on, this one is hot water, and like I said, you just go to the little question mark, go down to heat mode or hot water mode and select auto, diesel or 240 volt. Okay, so I can hear already actually. I'll get that open properly. Well, that's good for the video. I can hear already that diesel system working is magic. So you know it's working really, really well. Okay, so that's how your Combitronic system works. Microwave, that's an optional. No, it's an aftermarket extra. So we would have checked that it worked, but we don't sort of give any sort of proper guarantees on these really because it's just an aftermarket thing. the cooker, so you've got the 3-burner hob at the top and the hot plate over here as well. So the hot plate is obviously completely mains powered. So now that I've got the mains cable plugged in, I can use that if I want to. All I have to do to use it is go from 1 through to 6 on this left-hand dial here, and that'll basically just start heating up. The grill, you've got the grill pan in there. So the grill is this one here, and the oven is this one here. And the oven opens up from the right, and you've got a little safety catch. That shouldn't come open when you're driving anyway, but just to stop it rattling about, you've got this little safety catch here. Underneath here, we've got a couple of gas isolators. And that little socket just there is for your hot plate at the top. So if you didn't want that to be working on mains, you can turn that off. Not much else to show you in there. So I'm not sure if you can hear it or not, but the actual heating system has completely come alive now, and pretty quickly we'll start getting the air pumping around to the blowers down there. So for the minute, I want to turn that off, and then if I was you, I would just leave that alone for a minute before completely turning it off from here. Just leave it for a little bit to cool down, and then push and hold this button here to turn the entire system off. You've got more paperwork up here in this box, which is your sort of like wine cupboard, velvet coated. A lot of the Autocruises were always like that. Sink and drainer is all there, obviously. Sometimes, just so you know, with the motorhomes, because where you park up on the campsites and things like that, you will find that it won't always drain down the sink perfectly, and you will have to kind of use your hand to give it a bit of help, unless you're completely perfectly level, which is, you know, near enough impossible without the leveling systems and things like that. But there you go. Right, so the fridge is the only other main sort of appliance really I want to show you. So you've got a main on and off switch just there. So at the moment it's going to try and light up on gas. If I didn't want to use the gas, I press and hold here, and now the gas symbol is flashing because I can choose any other one now. So I'll flick through. I can't use 12 volt because the engine isn't running, but I can use the mains. So I'll click mains, and then I'll click again, and you can see there now the mains one is lit and it's on 5. If I had pre-cooled the fridge either via the mains, which it is now, or the gas, then you can switch over to the 12 volt there for when your engine's running only. Now I always say this on the videos, but the way that all these fridges work, doesn't matter how new or old it is, you can't get the fridge cold via the 12 volt only. If it was a 12 volt only fridge, like a little compressor fridge, then obviously you can, but these fridges are a little bit too big for the 12 volt to do it all. So you need to pre-cool the fridge, which takes at least 3 hours, either via the mains or the gas, and then just switch over to 12 volt for when your engine's running and you're actually driving. For the time being, I'm just going to turn this off. So if I just quickly explain that to you, the reason why you can use the 12 volt on the fridge when your engine's running is because you've got something called a split charger. So all the time that your engine's running, the alternator is obviously charging up your engine battery like any car or van does. But you've also got, in any sort of decent motorhome, you've got something called a split charger, which is a couple of wires that come directly from that power for the alternator through to the leisure battery and the fridge. So that all the time that your engine's running and you're driving, your leisure battery is also being charged up, and you can keep your fridge cold via that power as well. So the reason that's important is because you can't have a hookup plugged into the vehicle when you're driving, obviously, and you shouldn't ever have the gas on when you're driving either. So the only way to actually use it when you're driving is that 12 volt power. So that's how that works. I've got it off at the moment. In the cupboard up here, we've got a little DVB type box, max view. just wiring really in here. This little switch just here should be for your fridge, I believe, on the mains, an isolator for that. But yeah, so to be honest, for the back there's not a huge amount to show you. The skylight opens up just by twisting this, as you can see, and comes back down. Speakers in the back just here, as a factory fitted thing from Autocruise. And the bathroom, I guess, is the last thing to show. So the shower itself, I don't feel like I need to show you that, because it's just a, you know, it's literally just a standard little mixer tap. You have got a light up here which works really nicely. Same again for the sink just here. It's just literally hot and cold left and right. The only thing I do want to show you really is the toilet. So to get the flush fluid pumping around, push the button just there. Now that needs the pump switch to be on and some water in the fresh tank to actually work at all. So that's why it's not doing anything at the moment. Once you've used the toilet, drain it into the cassette by opening and then closing again, like that, okay? If you don't close that flat back over, you'll find that you will not be able to take the cassette out from outside, because it will be locked in place. The windows are really simple, so you literally push these little buttons on the handles and then they'll open up. You'll have a little latch in a few different places, then they'll come back in. Fly screen from the top, blackout blind from the bottom, and that really is it. It's as simple as it gets. Storage up over here in the bathroom. I think that's about it really. I don't think there's much else to show you. I mean, the Combitronic unit is completely all-inclusive, so that's your hot water, your heating, mains, diesel, you know, it's all in there. Once you get the grips of using that, it is really, really simple. I just realised, you know, I'm not the best at explaining it, but you know, when you get to grips with that, it's so simple. All the paperwork for it is in there, but you know, hopefully it made sense how I described it. But the basic thing is, question mark there brings up your settings. Go through until you get to the heat and hot and water mode. Click on it and then select your, you know, select either diesel or mains basically. And like I said, if you have it on auto, it will either use a mixture of both, or it will just choose whichever one you have. Okay, so I'll leave them both on diesel for the moment, because that is the most usual way to use it. Because, you know, the idea of the Combitronic unit is that you can go sort of wild camping and do whatever you like, because all you actually need is a little bit of 12-volt power and diesel. You haven't even got to have your gas on, you know, obviously, for any of that. But there you go. So I'll turn this off now, push and hold until it makes that kind of funny noise, and that's it. Any other things before you start driving? Put all of your glass lids down, make sure all of your windows are completely closed, skylights are down, make sure your gas is switched off, and you've got your power off here. When you start the engine up, if you do leave this power on here, it should turn itself off anyway. But you know, if it doesn't, just make sure you come through and turn that off. Other than that, that's it, I think. So if there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going through again, just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.